of the soul to spotlight people. I'm host
FL
FL from the
from the
Dare2BU
Dare2BU Network.
Network,
And I've been
and I've been
excited about
excited
this
about this
all month long,
all
day
day
long.
long.
And we
And we
got
got
our
our
first
first
guest in
guest
the
in the
spotlight
spotlight
today.
today.
So
So
I
I
want
want
to
to
introduce our
introduce
first
our
guest
first
for the
guest
live
for the
coach
live coach
session,
session,
Jermaine
Jermaine
Johnson.
Johnson.
Just
Just
kind of
kind of
introduce yourself,
introduce
let
yourself,
people
let
know
people
where
know
you
where you
from,
from,
and then we
and
about to
then we about to
jump
jump
into
into
this
this
fight, baby.
fight, baby.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jermaine Johnson. I'm originally from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I've been living in Denver, Colorado for the past 15 years. I'm in the criminal justice field, where I help the youth with their criminal situations, and I'm about the people, helping them out and making sure that they are living a prosperous life that they should have in life. So, yeah, that's a little bit about
Man,
me.
that's a good
That's a good
deal.
deal.
That's a good
That's a
deal.
good
Well,
deal.
listen,
Well, listen,
we're excited
we're
to
excited
have
to
you.
have
And
you.
listen,
And
if
listen,
you want
if
to
you
be a
want to
guest
be a
on the
guest on
Soul
the Soul
Spotlight,
Spotlight,
all
all
you
you
have
have
to
to
do what
do
Jermaine
what
did,
Jermaine
right?
did,
He
right?
emailed
He
me,
emailed me,
right?
right?
He
He
emailed me
emailed
his
me
big
his
area that he
area
was
that he was
struggling in,
struggling
right?
in,
Whether
right?
that's
Whether
identity,
that's identity,
relationships,
relationships,
right?
right?
Health,
Health,
money.
money.
And then
And
tell
then
me if
tell
you're
me if
willing
you're
to be
willing
coached
to be
live
coached
on
live
the
on
Soul
the Soul
Spotlight. And I can help.
Spotlight. So right
Man,
now,
it's
just
about to
about to
jump right
jump
into it.
right into it. Jermaine,
Jermaine,
tell
tell
people
people
what
what
your
your
struggle
struggle
is
is
and
and
what you're
what you're
going
going
through,
through,
and
and
then
then
you
we
just
just
about
about
to
to
just
jump
jump right
right
into it,
into it,
man.
man.
Okay. So, for years, I've been an aspiring entrepreneur. I have dabbled in entrepreneurship here and there. Um, with that entrepreneurship, it's been kind of like I start, I got a good momentum going, and then I hit a roadblock, and then I end up kind of like just moving on from that process. Um, and just with being an employee, having a job, that's kind of like what you're used to. You're used to having the 2 week check at the end of your 80-hour work weeks, 2 week period, and you kind of get comfortable with that. So I wanted to just kind of find out, like, for one, what is it about that is keeping me from successfully staying with entrepreneurship and trusting in having a job with that 2 week, guaranteed check. I
Okay.
know I can do the entrepreneurship. I know I can do it in the field that I want to do it in. But it's just, you get those nerves, and I explained the nerves. The nerves is almost like just before a big game. If you've played any type
Yeah.
of sports, or even if you haven't played sports, like you've taken a test and you studied hard, you know the answer, you done took the pre-test, but but when that real actual test come, it's like, oh my God, like the test is here or the game is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything that you've been working on all, till that test or that big game, I'm sorry, everything that you knew and prepared for is like, oh my God, am I gonna mess this up? Oh my God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you might have missed your first shot, or you might have missed a answer to a test that like, oh, I knew this test on the pretest. I got to the test and now everything went blank. And it's like, okay, what do I need to do different, or what do I need to prepare myself for in order to overcome that nerve that is holding
Okay.
me.
Okay.
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 So
So
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
repeat
repeat
back to
back to
you
you
what I
what I
think
think
you
you
heard.
heard.
So basically,
So
what you're
basically, what
saying
you're
is that
saying is that
you are
you
branching
are
out
branching
and
out and
trying to be entrepreneurial.
entrepreneurial.
You
You
have
have
steady
steady
income
income
now.
now.
So what you want to
You
know
want to
is
know is
how do you
how do
go
you go
from the
from
steady
the
check
steady check
and
and
actually
actually
grow your
grow your
entrepreneurial
entrepreneurial
business, the
business,
gap.
the gap.
So basically,
So
I'm
basically,
hearing
I'm
you
hearing you
say,
say,
how do you
how do you
navigate that
navigate
gap
that
from
gap
where
That
you
gap.
are
where
to
you
where you
are to
want
where
to
you
be?
want to be?
Correct. Correct.
So first thing,
I said,
recognize pattern, right? So the first thing I would tell you, you mentioned something that I heard say that your nervous system is used to the steady paycheck, correct?
Correct.
So the first thing is you have to understand that entrepreneurship comes with a different set of laws and rules. Right? So like you said, entrepreneurship is more compound income. By compound income, I mean that sometimes entrepreneurship, well, I would say all the time, you have to put the work in up front and let it compound. So then you start getting paid on the back end, right? So the first thing I would say to really navigate the gap, you have to learn to regulate your nervous system. Because right now your nervous system learns transactional income.
Correct.
And by transactional income, I mean you can work, right? And then get paid for it, right? So I always tell people transactional income is labor heavy, right? Compound income is about assets and building wealth. So compound income and entrepreneurship is just a little different model. So you have to train your nervous system to feel safe with uncertainty.
Okay.
So how do you do that? Is just what you just did. You got to tell yourself the truth about what you're building, right? There's no financial literacy in your life right now, correct?
No, there's not.
So since there's no financial emergency in your life, what keeps telling you about I know about leaving the steady income to kind of do what I want to do. Those are just the stories. So from actual facts. Let me ask you this. Are you fully prepared? Oh, I think we lost.
I'm still here.
Okay. Are you fully? Let me ask you a few questions. Are you fully prepared to start your entrepreneurial vision? Number one. From a financial standpoint, right? And then number two, because you said you was married. How is your spouse dealing with this transition as well?
Am I fully prepared? Are you talking about?
Fully prepared. Let me say this. Fully explain myself. By fully prepared financially, right? Do you have enough margin to start walking in that gap, leave the steady income to go where you're going, and then number two, to understand what you really build and what it's really going to build that business. As an entrepreneur, my whole life with two jobs. I wanted 2 jobs my whole life. So I tell you, my nervous system is wired for entrepreneurship, which is with entrepreneurship, there's a lot of uncertainty. Until you build it. So that's how you prepare. Go ahead and answer that question.
Am I fully prepared today? No, I'm not. Will I be fully prepared 6 months from now? I believe I will be fully prepared. Okay. I'm not where I want to be, where I have the next egg, but it's not where I'm comfortable, where it's like, okay, I'm good.
Okay. See, I like that. Like I tell one-on-one community when I do this, honestly, man, that's how you get to need to go. Okay. You're not comfortable enough. So okay. Are you comfortable enough right? Hey. Your house agree on it. You comfortable enough right now today you have already go ahead and make that.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Are you comfortable enough today with what you have already prepared yourself with, even though it's not what you want? Or is it enough for you to make the leap today if you and your spouse agreed on that?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the question becomes, like I said, you have to break the story for the facts.
So you
So you
are
are
comfortable enough
comfortable
making
enough
that
making
leap
that
today.
leap today.
You do have the
You do have the
skills
skills
to make
to
that
make
leap
that
today.
leap today.
I do.
You are
You are
prepared
prepared
mentally and
mentally and
emotionally to make
emotionally to
that
make
leap.
that
So
leap.
the
So
only
the
thing
only
that's
thing that's
stopping you from
stopping you
making
from
the leap
making the leap
is not
is not
reality.
reality.
It's the
It's the
story
story
that your
that your
nervous
nervous
system has
system has
attached
attached
to being an
to being an
entrepreneur
entrepreneur
and
and
leaving a steady
leaving a steady
income.
income.
So now you got to retrain for a different reality. That's the new revelation I talk about, right? Yes, yes, and that's true. And that's the story. Somebody commented and said I was getting an echo, so I'm trying to clean this up, man. I'm sorry if I got an echo, y'all. I'm sorry if I got an echo. It's I can hear it as well too. Hold on, hold on. Let me try this. Let me try this. Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? No? Yeah? Okay. Let's see. Bear with me, man. This is getting good. Can y'all hear me now? Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me now? You still there, Jay? I don't see anybody. Jermaine. Okay, hold on. Man, y'all bear with me, bear with me. I'm trying to get this live right, baby. Can you hear me? Mic check. Check, check. Can you hear me? And I think we might have lost him. Mic check. Can you guys hear me? No, yes. Okay. I don't know what happened now. It just blacked out and it just. Can you hear me? Man, just blacked out, y'all. I don't know what happened. Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We gonna get through this. We gonna get through this. This work is. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you hear? Is it still echo?
Yeah, it is. It's an echo now. It seems like when
The
it's
echo
spoken to
now?
your mouth, it's an echo.
Man, we gonna work through this. We gonna get. We gonna get the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Is it better? Is it echo or is it better?
It's better. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Hey, look, wipe my little brow, baby. Look, we have to get through this, man. I'm gonna help you today. Listen, so where we was at, like I said, you gotta separate story from fact. So right now, where we're at, you're mentally prepared to move on. You're emotionally prepared to move on. You didn't have the conversation with your spouse about moving on. You guys are in agreement, correct? So now,
Yeah.
the only thing that's stopping you is the story. So now you just gotta, every time that story shows its ugly head, you got to remind yourself of a new story. No. And the new story is you ground yourself in the facts. I am equipped to move right now. We do have enough of a nest egg to move right now. We are mentally and emotionally in agreement to move right now. So you just take the steps, right? And every time the story comes up, you tell a new story. Tell the truth. So I always tell people you got to break up with the story that your nervous system is telling itself and marry the truth. The truth is we just went over the truth of your situation. You have a nest egg. It might not be where you want, but you got enough to make the move day. You are in emotional alignment with your spouse, mental alignment. You understand the challenge at hand. So now the only thing left to do is to take action.
Yeah. Want to ask you a question. Is there such thing as like taking on somebody else's trauma of emotional, like the story you tell yourself? And I'm gonna share with you something that I have never told one. So I watched my father. He was an entrepreneur. And then he lost his business, and I watched that as a kid. And so I watched him go from an entrepreneur back to becoming an employee. And I think a little bit of that story that you kind of tell yourself is that if you see somebody else's, and I'm not going to say it was a failure, but it's just that was his time in being an entrepreneur. And I think a little bit of that ambition about being an entrepreneur, coming from an employee to an entrepreneur, if you've seen that, you kind of think like, oh man, I've seen that firsthand, like somebody lose their business and the
Absolutely. Absolutely that affects you. I always say something about the first 7 years of everybody's life is the most fundamental belief years is what science calls, right? So if you saw that coming up, your dad with a business and then lost his business, had to go back to work, then your nervous system learned maybe entrepreneurship maybe is not the route. See what happened with my dad, or see what happened with this. So that's the story that your nervous system has attached to entrepreneurship. So to answer your question directly, that's probably was the pattern that was holding you up for this long before you actually started your business. Even though you had the knowledge, even though you had the skill, even though you knew what you wanted to do, but the story was attached to your nervous. And here's the thing: the stories are not there to harm us. They're really there to protect us. The story that your nervous system attaches to whatever experience is there to really protect us. But in 2026, we have to recognize those patterns to take control over our own life, to say, I don't need that protection no more. I'm not 10 no more. I'm not 25 no more. I'm a 4-year-old man now with a family that understands I have what it takes to start my own business. So that's how you kind of have to talk back to your nervous system. But absolutely, that affects how you move in entrepreneurship or anything in life. Whatever you saw in those first 7 years coming up until you moved out, that's how your nervous system got trained around money, relationships, identity, or health. So yes, that is a great question. So yes, but now that the fact that you saw it, you're recognizing the pattern. You're regulating your body through that, right? We're getting a new revelation on what to do different. Now you got to build a rhythm around that, which is daily habits, and then just put it on repeat mode. That's what the work is. So yeah, it definitely affects you. Definitely affects you.
Okay. And the daily habits
Yeah.
of what I tell myself, are we suggesting that is when I'm getting those thoughts of the nervous transition, or is that just more like sometimes I heard sometimes you do it first thing in the morning, sometimes you do it at night, or is it just when I get those thoughts of like?
So first thing in the morning. So when I say build a rhythm, so this is what I teach the one-on-one community when I do power sessions. When I say build a rhythm that's uniquely for you. So that rhythm I'm talking about, I do mine first thing in the morning, right? First thing in the morning when I wake up, breath work. I start through my mantra. I start telling myself my stories, the truth about what I'm doing, right? But also throughout the day, if I can feel my nervous system getting activated in fight or flight, if I can feel me kind of get overwhelmed, if I can feel me kind of get fearful about something, I slow myself down, I ground myself, and that's where affirmations really come in. I tell people affirmations come in to ground you, right? Right? Because when your nervous system is dysregulated, it's hard to see the vision. It's hard to see the dream. It's hard to see the plan, because this is science. When your nervous system is dysregulated, your perspectives collapse. This is science. So when you're dysregulated, you're not going to see a whole lot of options. You're only going to see 1 or 2 options, and those options are going to be negative, telling you what you can't do, what you shouldn't do. So yes, so throughout the day, if you feel tension throughout the day, and you're going throughout your day, and then fear kind of takes over and hits you, and you start, oh man, what are we doing? Slow yourself down and remind yourself of the facts. I'm in agreement. Me and my wife are in agreement with this. We have the funds to move this way, right? And we have the mental capacity and the emotional capacity to understand what we're doing and understand that entrepreneurship, where we are, comes with a little bit of uncertainty. That's just the truth. So now you just gotta make yourself feel safe with that certainty. That's all it is. That's a practice that you put on repeat mode every single day of your life, and you retrain your nervous system to the gap. I'm safe now. Even though I can't predict the income, I'm safe. And that's the retraining your body. So yeah.
I got another question. So
Yeah.
dealing with your individual self and your own nervous system is one thing, and you can do the self-talk, you can do the practice, but what does one do now? I'm not going to sell you a dream. My spouse is in full support of me. My wife is full support of me doing crossing transition into the entrepreneurship, but there is a little bit of inhibition. That security blanket, that the income that I bring in is not only a support for myself, but for her and the entire family. How does one regulate, or can you regulate your spouse's nervous system, and how do we get through that as a couple together to transition from?
Listen, that's a great question, and the first part of that answer is no. You can't regulate your spouse's nervous system. You can't. But what you can do is help them regulate their nervous system, right? You can't do it. So how do you help them regulate it? Is understanding basically their nervous system language, right? So how me and my wife do this, right, with the nervous system, especially with money. Most of the times in relationships, the arguments are not between you and your partner. It's between 2 nervous systems, because y'all have different experiences, right? So the way your spouse sees money, the way you see money, the way she was raised with money, the way you was raised with money, the arguments is just the nervous system clashing. The stories. So the stories that's attached to her money experiences, the story that you just told me about the father and entrepreneur that was attached to your. So the way you help that is that y'all have to be honest with each other and talk about those emotions and feelings. Hey, when you said you was gonna start this business, that triggered X in me. That made me feel like, whoa, wait a minute. Or that made me feel like, so y'all have to talk about those emotions, right? With me and my wife, because I said I've been an entrepreneur, man, for my whole life, hardly. And I've only had 2 jobs my whole life, and I'm 47. So entrepreneurship has just been a way of life for me. And when it first started, me and my wife used to have these, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't have language to coin the nervous system. So we used to bump heads, and I used to feel like, oh man, you don't believe in me, you're not believing in the dream. But that just wasn't.
Right.
Her nervous system just speaks a different language.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure out what language was that her nervous system spoke and start speaking her language so we can both get an understanding. Because here's the thing that I tell people all the time. Communication is not just talking, expressing yourself. Real communication is expressing yourself in a way where the other person can understand it and it lands.
Okay.
That's real communication. If the other person doesn't understand what you're saying, it doesn't understand where you're coming from, you didn't communicate. You just told them how you felt. That's not real communication. So as you're walking yourself these entrepreneur gaps right now, going from a steady income now to you can build up a predictable income with entrepreneurship because we did it with a commercial cleaning company, right? But you have to build it. And sometimes the gap is so that gap can get monsters, man. Especially if the nervous systems are colliding, you can feel like you're alone in the gap. You can feel like, oh man, my spouse don't understand. She don't, but that's not it, man. She speaks a different nervous system language. So as a man of the house, I will say you will have to help her regulate her nervous system, but you can't regulate that for her. And how you help her is by you being regulated, you keeping yourself in a regulated place, you keeping yourself in a emotional stable place, in a mental stable place. You talking to her about the way you feel. Oh, babe, it was kind of rough today. I kind of felt like overwhelming, But if she can see you feel that, process that, and still move through it, now you're being the example that she needs to fit, process it, and move through it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because she comes from a 2-parent household. Her parents are still married to this day, and they were both employees. So that's pretty much where she's safe at, right? It's like, get a job. So what I don't want to happen is when we go through that period of time where in entrepreneurship where the money's kind of tight and we need to slow up. We don't want to have like she hit the panic button. Well, I'll go get a job, or I'm going to go get a job. You know, it's like those are the things that I know that are going to be in entrepreneurship. You're going to have them highs and lows, and you gotta ride the wave and be steady in them waves. So I really wanted to make sure.
That's true. And let me say this one thing, because you said you don't want to have that. I will push back just a tad, like you just said, and say that's always going to be there. How you respond to it is what matters. How you guys walk yourself through those pressure moments is what matters. Because in 27 years being married and being an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life, like I said, me and my wife had those moments to where, oh, I'm just going to go back. But my wife will tell you, with me, when I get into those moments, because my nervous system is a little bit more trained for it, 9 to 5 never crosses my mind. Me, personally, because I came from entrepreneurship. And I understood that this is the lay of the land, right? So now with you guys, when that comes up, that's going to cross you guys' mind because that's part of the whole program that's still attached to that nervous system. That's when you got to do the work every day to retrain your nervous system to something different. But every day you do the work, here's the thing. You can never cut off the alarm system. You can never cut off the whole program, but you can turn it down where it's not as loud. It's not running the show. And that comes from putting the rhythm on repeat mode that we just created. So no, you can never turn that off. And in those moments that y'all feel that, that's where you have to go and kind of help walk her through that. Even though you're feeling it too. Like I always tell my wife, you know, if she gets a little anxious or I get a little anxious, I always tell her, we're in the same boat. So if the storm is blowing, it ain't like I'm in another boat next to you. We in the same boat. So that's the mindset you gotta have. We in the same boat, babe. You might be a little bit more fearful than I am right now, or I might be more fearful, but we in the same boat. So let's just walk ourselves through these emotions together and understand that They're just that. Their emotions and their stories. It's not reality.
All right. So pretty much when those emotions get tapped, it's not actually what's happening. It's what you're telling yourself that's happening. So it's two different people, you and your spouse, actually got two different stories in your head, and y'all arguing the stories, never the facts.
That's it. I mean, think about it. Think about this. If you've been married 27 years, I don't know how long you've been married, but just think about this. Think about some of the
13 years.
arguments that you didn't have in your marriage, right? If you think about back on them now with the information that me and you was just talking about today, you can probably see, that is two stories because we never got down to the facts. This is why married couples, when you ask them, what were you arguing about? They can't ever tell you because it's not factual. It's stories. They're like, oh, I don't even know what we was arguing about because it's a story that they didn't attach to that experience. Because if it's factual, you can always remember the facts about something that's very important.
Okay.
But if it's a story, it's going to change all the time based on how you feel.
Okay. So the stories are always going to be there, but you can change how. Are you saying that you can change how you feel about it, or you can change the way you think about the story?
You can reframe the story. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is, like you said, your nervous system is always going to attach a story to the experience to keep you safe. That's science, right? Whether good, better, and different. That story is going to be something that feels familiar, right, and comfortable, even though it might not be serving you. That's another thing to keep in mind. So when the story comes up, right, you have to slow yourself down enough. That's what the regulating your body is through the emotion. The story is always going to bring an emotion with it. That's why that's what the fight or flight is. That's why people feel the emotion when they get angry, mad, because the story is always going to bring an emotion. So what I'm saying is, when you feel that emotion, you have to have enough self-awareness to pause yourself and separate that story from the actual facts that's happening right now in your reality. Because here's the thing about the brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality, something actually happening right now, or something that you're just thinking about that happened 10, 15 years ago. It doesn't know the difference. So you got to give it the difference. You got to slow it down and give it the difference and turn on your prefrontal cortex and turn on your hippocampus, which your hippocampus put things in context. Your prefrontal cortex assigns meaning and decision making. So when those are not online, your amygdala is running the show, which is survival center, which is the story-based survival center. That's where all the stories are. And it's running down your vagus nerve into your nervous system. That's the vagus nerve is the communication highway from the brain to your nervous system. So the story is running down from your brain to your nervous system all day long. So I always tell people, what story is being played all day long? What story? Because that's what you're going to keep repeating. That's pattern.
Okay. I've heard people tell themselves, or there's been like famous people that tell themselves, "Hey man, your brain's gonna believe whatever you tell yourself. So think big. Think big." What's the difference between thinking big and delusional? And because as adults we're taught to be real, be realistic, right? But if you're trying to get somewhere, you need to have that vision. So you kind of need to talk in that space of, I don't want to say delusion, but you got to have that vision. What's the difference between keeping it real and going to a place where you need to be thinking bigger to be a successful entrepreneur?
Man, I always bring it back to this because that's a great question. I get that question asked a lot. Keeping it real is just telling yourself the truth. See, I always say this. I say it like this. Let me say it like this. People underestimate what they can do in 5 years, and they overestimate what they can do in 1 year.
Mm.
So, you know, I'm gonna say that again. People underestimate what they can really accomplish in 3 to 5 years, and they overestimate what they can do in a year. So I tell people, you don't have to be delusional about your dream and vision. Just be realistic. Tell yourself the truth. And so the only way you can be realistic is that you're honest with your starting point. Think about a GPS system, right? A GPS system needs two things to get you to the end destination: an honest starting point, where you are, and then where you're going. If you put the wrong starting point into a GPS, but the right ending point, it's going to give you a different route based off where it's think you at. It's the same way in life. Most of us don't tell ourselves the truth about where we are in life, so we think we're starting from a different starting point and wonder why we can't ever get to where we're going, because you're not being honest with where you're starting at. You got to be honest. So it's not about being delusional. Just like with your business, what this whole conversation was about in the beginning, right? So with your business, realistically, where you are financially, realistically, how much time you can put into your business to grow. So now you guys map out a roadmap, right? We are here. We're trying to get here next year. Realistically, based off everything that we have going on right now in our life, right? How much time can we really devote to the business? How much time can we devote to working on the business? And then just be realistic. So that's the vision. I always tell entrepreneurs that being delusional, because I hear people say that. You don't have to be delusional to build something of value and build your vision. You just have to be realistic. Like I tell athletes, right? So like I used to train athletes. So I always tell athletes, don't come in here to training. If you got a 20-inch vertical, don't come in here thinking you're about to get a 50-inch vertical in 3 weeks. That's not realistic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not realistic. You can conjure that up all you want to and be like, oh, to the universe, I'm gonna do this. You're not gonna get 30-some inches in 3 weeks. I'm sorry. It's just not gonna happen. That's not a realistic measurement. Same thing with business. You just gotta be realistic with yourself. And realistic doesn't mean being pessimistic. It's realistic is casting real vision about what you can really do in that time period.
Nice. Again, that's why you started with, do you have the finances now? Because we want to know where we're at the start and know where we want to. Okay,
that's it.
I got you. Okay,
that
makes sense.
Where you at now? Because if you don't know where you are right now today, you're not gonna get to that end destination. Even though you got the vision, you know what you want to end up with, but you got to be honest with where you're starting at right now.
Okay.
Just like a GPS. I always tell people that. If you can just think about a GPS system, if you put the wrong starting location in a GPS system, it's going to give you a totally different route. Then if you put the original, so if I'm starting from my house to try to get to my sister's house, but I put my starting location in the GPS that I'm at the Walmart Supercenter, it's going to give me a totally different route. And then I'll be frustrated because I'm really starting from the house, and I'm wondering why I'm not recognizing none of this stuff that is telling me I should be passing this. I'm like, I ain't seeing none of that because I put the wrong starting destination in. I wasn't real with myself. I didn't recognize where I really was. So that's what you guys have already taken that step to do. Now it's just formulating a real structural systems around it so you can just do it. That's it.
All right, that's real good. I think that really put me in a place where I can understand knowing where I want to be, but knowing where I'm starting at, and putting realistic plans together today, a year from now, and 5 years from now, to navigate this whole process. So yeah, that was
okay.
Really good.
Okay, I appreciate. Well, look, so let me ask you these questions as we wrap it up, man. This is the first live Soul Spotlight, and listen, you can be a guest on Soul Truth Spotlight as well. All you got to do is send me an email, flthelifecoach@gmail.com, right? Tell me the biggest area that you're struggling in right now, right? Whether that's your money, relationships, identity, health, right? And are you willing to come on live in the spotlight and be coached? So let me ask you this now as we wrap this up. Would you say this session really helped you give the community true feedback, your honest feedback? Did the 5R framework really help you see some new things, discover some new patterns? What did you get out of this?
Well, what I got out of it is that, one, the story that you tell yourself plays the biggest factor in your nervous system. And you have to get in the habit of telling yourself that you are an entrepreneur, which is basically your identity. And two, that you got to know your starting point. You got to know where you're at. That's probably the most critical part, because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going. You're gonna get lost following different directions. You're gonna be on a different route. And then three, just making sure that that you and your spouse, your partner, whoever, are on the same page, and you got that support. Because if two people are they see life two different ways and going two different routes, two different odds, it's probably going to hinder you. It's going to be a lot harder, more difficult route to get where you need to be. Yeah, that's what I picked up out of this. It's basically telling yourself that you can do it, regulating your nervous system, and also knowing where you start from and getting that support that you need.
Man, that's good. That's good. That's good. So would you recommend the coaching session to a friend or other people?
Definitely. And the reason why I would recommend that is because a lot of times in your head, you got those inhibitions, and until you talk to someone, and especially someone who is where you want to be. You're an entrepreneur, FL, so like you're more believable as opposed to talking to another friend that got a job. Like he's employed like me. He's going to come from an employee perspective. I'm inspiring to be an entrepreneur, so I need to speak to an entrepreneur. And I can't go to I'm a married man. I can't go to a single person for relationship advice. They can give me a perspective, but they can give it to me from a single person's perspective. You've been married 27 years, so I'm trying to get to 27. I'm at 13, so I would need to go to you because you're where I'm inspiring to want to be, where I want to be. So I definitely recommend people call in and get the advice. If you're inspiring to be married and inspiring to be an entrepreneur, I would call into the show. So.
Man, I appreciate that. So listen, good people, this is the first episode of the Soul Truth Spotlight. We just helped Jermaine Johnson, our first spotlight guest today. And like I said, you can be a guest on the next episode. So every month, I'm going to give away one free coaching live call like this, right? This is the way that I give back, but also I just want to help, man. I just want to help. I want y'all to see the 5R framework in motion, man. And this helps in any area of life. So if you want to be a guest on the show, email me at elderlifecoach@gmail.com. And every last Monday of every month, spotlight. So tap in. Jermaine, is there anything else you want to say to the community before we get up out of here? I just want to thank you for coming on and just being a guest. I know sometimes it's kind of difficult to go live when people want to coach live and do things like that, but for you to have the courage to come on here and talk about your struggle and talk about what you're going through, man, that says a lot about where you are right now mentally and where you're inspiring to be. And then, your story probably inspired other people to come on and tell it. So I'm grateful for you, man. And I know that you're going to do amazing things just by talking to you today and just by how it clicked for you. And I wish you all the best. But if there's one last remark you want to say to the community before we get up out of here?
Hey, do not be afraid to take that leap. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because you don't want to get old and then have regrets. And I don't want to get old where I can't work no more and say, oh man, I wish I would have called into the show. I wish I would have got that advice to be an entrepreneur. Hey, just put yourself out there, man. And I thank you for inviting me to the show. I thank you for making me the #1 guest on your show. I appreciate that. And I'm gonna look forward to seeing other people call in and get with you and ask questions that'll inspire me to even go further, because they may have a different question for you that'll spark something out of you that will make me move even further, inspire me to go further in my entrepreneurship. So thank you for having me as your guest on the show. And hey, if you want me to come back for the 100th show, I'm calling you, boy. Hit me up.
I definitely keep that in mind, man, because you are the first guest on the show, and we definitely appreciate you having it. So listen, until the next show, good people, like I said, if you want to be a guest, email me, hit me up. I thank everybody who joined us for the first episode of season 1 of Soul True Spotlight. Have a great Monday. And listen, tune in tomorrow for the Dare2BU live podcast. We're going live, me and my wife. You don't miss that tomorrow, 9 a.m. Y'all have a great day evening.